In the summer of 1845, two of the finest ships in the Royal Navy sailed north to win one of the last great prizes of exploration, a sea route across the top of the world. They carried 129 men and 3 years of supplies. A few weeks later, whalers watched them sail into the Arctic. After that, no European ever saw a single one of them alive again. Hello and welcome to Vanished Hours. I'm Isla Hart. Tonight, the Franklin expedition, the worst disaster in the history of polar exploration. 2 ships, 129 men, and a silence so complete it took more than a century and a half, and the knowledge of the people who lived there to break. They were called Erebus and Terror, bomb ships rebuilt for the ice, with iron-reinforced hulls, steam engines, propellers, and heated cabins. They carried tinned food for years, a library, fine china. To Victorian Britain, this was not a gamble. It was a triumph waiting to happen, led by a respected officer, Sir John Franklin. They sailed in May of 1845, bound for the Canadian Arctic to complete the Northwest Passage. In July, whaling ships met them in Baffin Bay, waiting for good ice. The crews were confident, the ships were sound. Then they sailed on into the channels of the high Arctic and out of all contact with the world. We know they spent their first winter at a place called Beechey Island because they left 3 graves there, 3 young men who died early. Those graves, found years later, were the first hard clue to where Franklin had gone. After that, the ships pushed south and were caught fast in the ice off King William Island. And there they stayed. 1 winter became 2. The ice that should have melted and freed them simply never did. Trapped, the expedition began, slowly, to die. The clearest record they left is a single sheet of paper, found years later in a stone cairn on the island. It was written twice. The first time, in 1847, it says simply, "All well." But around the edge, written months later in 1848, is a very different message. Franklin is dead. 24 men are already gone. And the survivors are abandoning the ships to walk south, across the ice, toward a river on the mainland, hundreds of miles away. Picture that decision. More than 100 weakened men, leaving their ships behind, dragging boats and supplies across the frozen sea on foot, hoping to reach a fur-trading post in a wilderness the size of a country. Not one of them survived the journey. For years, Britain searched and found almost nothing. Then, in 1854, an explorer named John Rae met Inuit who told him what had happened. They had seen the dying men, and the grim evidence that, at the very end, the last survivors had resorted to eating their dead. It was the truth, but Victorian Britain could not bear it. Rae was attacked in the press, even by Charles Dickens, for repeating what the Inuit said. And so the Inuit, who had given an accurate account and would keep that knowledge alive for generations, were simply not believed. The mystery stayed open for over a century and a half, and when it finally began to close, it was the Inuit who closed it. Following their testimony, and the lifelong work of an Inuit researcher who treated those old stories as evidence, searchers found the wreck of Erebus in 2014 and Terror in 2016. Both lay near King William Island, almost exactly where the Inuit had always said. The deaths themselves had no single villain. It was the ice that never released them, and then starvation, scurvy, cold, and disease all at once in one of the cruelest places on Earth. The ships, when found, were eerily preserved, quiet, intact, and empty. What lingers about Franklin is not just the scale of the loss. It is how completely the Arctic erased the most confident expedition of its age, and how the people that empire ignored held the truth the whole time and kept it until the world was finally ready to listen. 129 men sailed to put their names on the map. Instead, the ice kept them and kept its silence for a very long time. Thank you for spending this time with me. History never really leaves us, it just waits to be remembered. I'm Isla Hart, and I'll see you in the next one.